I want to call this, well, it's not that I want to, I'm calling this meeting to order for this November 2024 meeting to order. It really is quite amazing when you think that next year is 2025, although I really don't want to talk about that anymore. Acknowledgement of the local Indigenous community is next on our agenda, and this is where we acknowledge that our school district is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Samath First Nation and the Mathqui First Nation. With this, we respect the long-standing relationships that Indigenous people have and the nations have to this land, as they are the original caretakers. And for a little context, there's something called an Indigenous Education Council, and this was crafted by them for us, which is why we use it. Now, I would like to ask everyone to rise for the singing of O Canada. Anybody that's over here, please sing loud. Drown us out.
Our home and maiden land, true patron love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see there rise the true north, strong and free. From farm and wild of Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Hey. So now we're going to move on to a short stint of business before we move to our delegations. So at this point, I would call for approval of the minutes, please, by... Oh, the agenda. Thank you, Trustee Newfield.
Seconded, Peterson.
Seconded by Trustee Peterson. Okay, thank you. Had that one crossed off that we were done. Okay. You'll see when the voting is done, it will show up on the screen. We still have 3 trustees, 2, 1. There we go. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Now I will move to the minutes of the approval of the minutes. Trustee Kandaraj, 1. Trustee Newfield, 2nd. Okay, thank you. And now we move into the approval of consent items, items that are in the meeting minutes, but just not for discussion.
So moved, Rye.
Trustee Rye moved, seconded by Trustee Peterson. Voting buttons will be up in a moment. Thank you so much. At this point, this is where we move into the part that the board loves, which is when we have school presentations. Although I understand there's homework involved in this one. Yes, I heard. So I will turn it over to Superintendent Nozak.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. And just before I introduce our guests, let me congratulate you on your reappointment to Chair, and Vice Chair Rye, congratulations. Very pleased to have with us 2 schools. First up this evening, Dave Candle is here. They're going to present to us on parents as partners. So really interested to hear this. And I'm going to invite Principal Baljit Sakan to come up and introduce his team to us, or designate to introduce your team. And over to you.
pleasure to be here with my.
If you could turn on the microphone, you might have to plug in the battery. Thank you, Trustee Rout, for helping.
You'll see the red in just a second.
Okay, and the battery's in.
You could tell us a joke while you're waiting, Val. I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Oh, it's coming. There we.
All right, here we are.
Okay.
It's taking its time.
There we go.
Okay,
Thanks for your patience.
no problem. See our school logos up there. So many of our parents haven't gone to school in Canada, so their school experience is different from ours. And so our teachers do a really good job of welcoming the parents into the school as partners. And so this program is entirely about that. I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Stefan to share that, and Mrs. Aurora to share.
All right, thanks for having us. So Welcome Wednesdays and Terrific Tuesdays is a grassroots program that helps strengthen and build child-parent-teacher connections in our school. I would like to first have you meet our families. So we'll just start at this end, and they're going to just tell you who they are.
And if you could come up to the microphone just so we can live stream it.
We're just going to do your name. Just
Yeah.
name first. Your name, Raj. We're not sharing that yet, Mrs. Oaker.
Hello everyone, my name is Rod.
Just your name, honey. Name.
I'm Mrs. Boparai Viraj's mom. He's in grade 2.
Hi, my name is Hazel.
My name is Jatinder. I'm Hazel's mom.
Hello, my name is Kavraj. My name is Jeffrey.
Hello, everyone.
I'm Mrs. Beth, Japrit, and both are my beautiful kids.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Martha.
Hello everyone, my name is Mrs. Jaswal. I'm Arman's sister mom.
Hello, my name is Keita.
And my name is Satinder Sidhu and Mitab's dad.
So I'm Corinne Steffen, and this is my 41st year of teaching. So we've been around a long time. 12 years ago, I decided to do home visits with my students and their families. I asked them to invite me for tea, and it was one of the most rewarding things I'd ever done. We had developed amazing connections, a sense of trust, and a co-commitment to support our shared children. After going through a year-long illness, I came back to realize that the missing link in our students' education was involving the parents. By bridging this gap and building stronger connections with the child, the parent, and the teacher, we discover each year a caring community that helps foster everyone's growth. Together we create a family within our class community, a place to share with others, a place to, did I lose my page? A place to honor and acknowledge the importance of our roles with each other, and a place that celebrates our time together. Today we are going to walk you through the beginning of our first day together as a family. So we're going to start with some mindfulness. So everybody's going to do mindfulness with us. All right, Hazel, here we go. Let's get ready. Okay, everybody big breath in. And blow it out. And big breath number 2. And blow it out. Big breath number 3. And blow it out. And we're going to get rid of our worries. Okay, we're going to tap right here. This is for our immune system to reset. And Hazel's going to help us tighten and relax our body. So feet on the floor, sitting tall. All right, Hazel,
Tighten your feet
tighten your feet.
and relax. Tighten your abs, calves, and relax.
Yep.
Tighten your thigh and relax. Tighten your bottoms and relax. Tighten your tummy and relax. Tighten your chest and relax. Tighten your shoulders and relax.
we're just gonna shut our eyes for a few seconds when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Tonight I want you to make a picture in your head. I want you to imagine that we are all together in the same room as we are, and that we're going to take our arms out and give each other a great big hug. And just know that we are all safe and well. And then you can open your eyes. Thank you. Now, we are going to ask you a question. We want to know what your image of the child is. So beside you are 2 labels and a Sharpie. And we would like you to, 30 seconds, because we're on a budget and a time budget. We want you to write 2 words that you feel describe the image of a child. Okay? And then the kids are going to come around and you're going to put the sticky notes on their arms. Okay? So boys and girls, you can go buy someone and go get some sticky notes.
Is it one word for each label?
Yep, please. Or it could be a phrase. Yep, 1 word of what your image of the child is. Go to someone, go get sticky notes.
Raj, go get sticky notes on your arms.
I put it on your arm?
Put your arm over here. I'm going to stand here so Mrs. Aurora can read them.
I should have really written handsome
Good
on it.
job, I love these words. Hold your arms out so you can see your words. Careful, see your words. Okay.
The other arm. Okay.
Okay.
Playful? You like to play?
Take those, okay? Perfect, thank you.
Okay, you're going to share the words that this group of new parents here just came up with.
All right, Mrs. Stefan, I'll let you
Start
show them from that side. I'll start at this end. This person said that they're sponge, learner, innocent, fun, heart, laughter, happy, creative, and healthy, loved, inquisitive, unique, playful, and innocent again.
Wow. So look at your words, as we just did. We know that the image of the child shapes and affects the way that we do everything with our children. After World War II, Malaguzzi, a psychologist who founded a new approach to young children's education in Emilio Reggio, Italy, he stated that each one of you has inside yourself an image of the child that directs you as you begin to relate to a child. This theory within you pushes you to behave in certain ways. It orients you to how you talk to the child, it orients you as you listen to the child, and how you observe a child. If you believe that a child comes with something in them, as I see from your wonderful words, then you work with the inside out, and it shows in your relationships with the kids and the families. All right, here are some of the past parent groups up here, what their image of the child, those are some of the lists that we brainstormed. There's 2 big lists. I'll leave them up there, you can read them later, but it gives us a starting point to work with our parents. What is it you feel about children? What is it you know about children? And from that, it drives us to work with them and help them. Okay, where are we in the sessions? So now we would like to have you listen to what it looks like, the program through the eyes of the child, through the eyes of the parents, and then through the eyes of our teachers. Okay, so do you want to just stand here and share here, boys and girls? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Viraj, do you want to start and just share what you felt about the program? And you can share to them, okay?
The things I liked were building a house in the forest based on nature, making things out of paper. My mom baked cookies.
Okay, now I'm gonna share my experience. I love the Terrific Tuesdays as we build the memories together. I've got a few pictures of the board there to share my memories there. I was more involved and I was able to understand my kids' academic level, and I worked on the area needed. I was able to discover my kids' abilities through image of child. I loved doing the mindfulness and singing a song together that we did. A raindrops are falling on my head. It has become part of my life whenever I feel down. I really enjoyed doing all the artwork together, reading together, and all the other creative activities together that we did. I really miss our nature walk. Thank you, Mrs. Stefan, for the great experience. I really appreciate it.
Jeffrey?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeffrey, and I'm a grade 5 student at Dave Crandall. As a former student in Mrs. Steffen's class, I love how we got to explore and be free. Going on nature walks, playing and painting in the forest made me feel really curious and full of adventure. I hope that this wonderful experience will continue. Thank you.
Hello, hello everyone. My name is Kavaj. I'm in grade 4 at Dave Kendall. Being in Mrs. Steffen's class was a fun and helpful experience for me since I got to do new activities daily, including going outdoors to discover and trying new things, to learn with my mom and classmates. I hope everyone gets to have the same learning experience I did.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Beth. As a parent, going into Mrs. Steffen's class was a wonderful experience. Following connections through fun and interactive activities, they help form bonds with others to socialize and connect. It feels great to watch the kids explore and discover new concepts together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hazel, and I'm in grade 3. It was really fun to have my mom here. We got to play with toys and with our parents. We read books with them, and we all helped to set up the Christmas concert together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jatinder, and I would really like to thank Mrs. Steffen to let us a part of her child's school life. And it's like really great experience when I was in, she was in grade 2 years, in kindergarten and a grade 1 with Mrs. Steffen. And we had like a lot of activities together, had celebrating birthdays together, going for a nature walk and building a strong school community we had it. And we all love to read together, and these type of activities encourage bonding and give our kids chance to share their school experience with our parents. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Maytab. I liked it when my dad came to Terrific Tuesdays in my classroom. I liked when he helped me to make new arts and doing daily reading with me. We enjoyed nature walks with the rest of the class.
Hello everybody, I'm Mehtab's dad. Every Wednesday I got to see my child's work in this class. I watched them learn new things and saw their excitement. It made me happy to see them connect with their friends and feel comfortable with their teacher. I loved watching how they tackle new challenges, enjoyed the sense of discovery in their eyes. Those moments meant a lot to me because I got to see them grow and learn, so I really love this program going to the class. Thank you so much everybody.
Hello everyone, my name is Aman Singh Jadwal. I am in grade 2. Today I am talking about Terrific Tuesdays. I like the reading club and the mindfulness because it helps me to be focused, calm, and stay healthy. I also loved when Miss Steffan made food for us when the fun jar was full. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. Jaswal. Me and my son Arman. He's a former student of Mrs. Steffen's class. We both attended her Terrific Tuesday program last year. It was a great opportunity to meet different community with their new ideas. As a parent, I'm very thankful to the teachers who organized this program and gave us a chance to spend some more quality time with our kids and the other families to learn something new together. Thank you, Mrs. Steffen.
Excellent. I'm going to go in next. ASYL, everyone. My name is Veena Arora, and I am an ELL teacher at Dave Kendall Elementary. And as an ELL teacher, I'm extremely passionate about bridging the language gaps between families and the school. As I believe that language is not just a subject, it is a tool for connection. So as you're aware that we have many children at our schools who are they come from diverse linguistic backgrounds, and I really truly believe that we need to empower those families to be able to be a part of their children's learning every day. provide those parents with resources that are in their home languages. Then we teach the parents how to support their children in their academic journeys. And we also create, Mrs. Stefan and I work together, and we create a very safe environment and space for the parents and the families to be able to come in and where they can share their language and their cultures with our school community. And this work is very meaningful for me as a person, as an individual. It's very meaningful as this is my way to give back to the community and to make a difference.
So our sessions usually run once a week, and they go from about 8:30 to 9:30. Most of the time, I can't get rid of them. Everybody stays. Today we had Diwali, and it went on an hour and a half, but that's okay. But quite often we talk about subjects that the parents are interested, like the whole healthy child, being connected to your child. We address technology problems. We talk about the importance of nature. We just do a whole range of topics all year long. We'd like to really thank you for having us come in here. And I would really like to personally thank my parents, my brave parents, and my brave students for coming to share their thoughts. So we have a little book that we'll leave for you to look at. It shows what we do after a session. It's like a story that we write and then we share it. So thank you. Do we want to say the little last thing?
Thank you.
It's life in the
Life in the
forest that counts.
San Jose.
So, thank you very much, Mrs. Stefan. I'm going to actually, nope, not yet. We do open up the table for any questions or comments from trustees. Trustee White, and then I saw Trustee Neufeld out the corner of my eye, and then Trustee Rauch. Go ahead.
Hey, it's so great to hear from you guys. Mike and I, 2 years ago, campaigned under a party called Partners in Education, where parents as partners was literally our tagline. So very happy to see parents as partners. I know it's not just a value of the two of us, but is a value shared around this table. We believe that parents are the primary educators of their children, and we believe that schools are better when the parents are a part of the education. So I'm glad you guys were brave to invite your parents into the school and to partner with them, and I just think it's wonderful. So thank you for coming, and thank you for being brave to share.
Okay, thank you. So we have some more. Trustee Neufeld.
Well, as a 5-year-old, I entered the school system with no English, and they threw me in, sink or swim. The only time my parents went to school in my day was when things weren't going well. And so it's really, really important and exciting for me to see how parents are engaged, not only with their child at home, but through the school. And I think that'll serve them well, and it'll help you as parents also to understand what your children are learning, and you will learn from that. But also your children will get your support, which encourages them to grow. So I want to thank the school and the teachers and the staff for this, and also the parents. This is absolutely essential for your child's well-being and for your family's well-being. So thank you on that.
Thank you. Trustee Rauch.
Yeah, thank you. What a great presentation. I was reflecting also on all the little stickers and the tags and how these are just such common things we think about with our children, no matter what your background is, what country you come from, what part of the world, what economic status you have. We all view our children the same way, and I think that's why children are so great. Jared talked about our partners in education, and there's tons of data to show that when parents are engaged in the learning of their children, the student success is just far better. So thank you to the teachers. Thank you to the parents also for making time, because we know life is busy, and you've got to take the time to come with your kids. So great job.
Okay, thank you. Trustees Rai and then Kandaraj one.
Thank you for coming here and being so brave and speaking to us. You know what, I really liked when you did the mindfulness in the beginning. I think you should come every board meeting and teach us how to do it. So thank you for, to us, of course. The parents know now, but it's us guys on the table.
It brings in focus and
Yes, it does.
brings in community, and then we're like one.
No,
Quiet, we're one together.
it is so awesome, so awesome. And thank you very much. Thank you for your 41 years. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. Thank you to the students and the parents just coming out today. I'm an educator, and in my daycare, we used to do a very similar story with my kids, so that's great to see that's happening with you guys. And I come from an immigrant family, and I know how hard it is for my mom to learn English and my dad to learn English. I actually helped my mom pass the citizenship test because she couldn't remember one of the provinces, so we worked really hard. I think I was like 11 years old. And also we talked about earlier today about innovation, and this is a great way to show that in Abbotsford, the school district, knowing this school is specifically, like, I think 95% Indo-Canadian, you're being innovative in a way to create Terrific Tuesdays and Welcome Wednesdays to create that relationship between parents and school, and it's just great, so thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Peterson.
Thank you all for this, this presentation. Of course, we all believe so very strongly in parents being involved in the school and leading to student success. Here's something I'd like you to try. I wonder if we could give stickers to the students and have them put them on the adults. That would be interesting to see how that would, anyhow.
Do you have more stickers?
Yeah, we need more stickers, yes.
I have lots of stickers.
All right, thank you. A great project. It's not a project. It's really not a project. It's a way of learning and teaching, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
I want to thank you all on behalf of the board. They've said lots. I don't need to add to it except to say, students, you warm my heart. Thank you very much. You are the reason we do this work. So thank you, and thank you, Mrs. Steffen. So I am your school liaison, so I get to come and give you a little thank you. So I'm going to head over there right now. I'm sorry, it's not for the adults. It's for the students. You'll enjoy this.
Pass those around.
Now, if you would like to leave, we don't want you to, but.
Yeah, thank you, Dave Candle. Wonderful presentation.
Yeah, well done. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, trustees, we have Rick Hansen, and we're going to hear about the School of Business and Science. I'm going to ask Principal Jamie Webster to come forward and introduce her team, and I'm not sure actually if her voice is in full effect. So if you want to have your Vice Principal Brent Schroeder do the speaking, that's totally your call. So.
Mostly, I'm just going to say how you could put us after that act is just, I don't know how we follow, except to say I think Dave Candle is our catchment, so you're coming our way.
Thanks, pal. We'll get you to come up to the microphone too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Well, that mindfulness activity helped the older students and us as well be ready to speak to you. So my name is Brent Schroeder. I am one of the vice principals at Rick Hansen Secondary. And we're really excited about the invitation to come and share with you something really unique and innovative about who we are as a school. And that is our School of Business and Science program. So I am here with Trish Schubert, who is the teacher coordinator. I'm the admin coordinator for the program. Trish is the teacher coordinator. And I'm here with Hersimmer Dhaliwal, a grade 12 in our School of Business program, and with Harveen Tour, who's a grade 12 student in our School of Science program. And so Trish is going to come to share with us a bit about the structure of the program and one aspect, some of the projects that we have going as a part of the program.
Thank you, Brent. Thank you for having us. So structure of the program is we have two different, obviously, am I supposed to control the slides?
You're
I'm good. Oh, sorry. Yes. Got it. All right, so two streams, science and business, obviously. Some of the opportunities that are available happen because of the way they're cohorted. We do offer students first semester to take any elective classes that maybe don't fall into the science or the business stream. And then in their second semester of grade 11 and grade 12, they are cohorted, so there's no choice in the classes that they're taking. Those classes that you see on there are throughout the grade 11 and grade 12 year. Because of the cohorts, we're able to offer internship programs for our grade 11 students where they're leaving campus 1 day a week to complete their WEX credits, and they work in different jobs throughout the community volunteering, but hopefully in a field specific to science or business that they're hoping to aspire to in the future. Also, because of cohorts, our grade 12 students are given the opportunity to complete some university level classes at Hanson within our timetable with a collaboration with Corpus Christi College that Mr. Schroeder is going to speak to in a little bit here. If you want to graduate with the School of Science designation, then you have to complete all of the science courses listed plus pre-calculus 12. If you want to finish with your School of Business designation, then you need to make sure you finish the 5 business classes by the time you graduate. And some of the opportunities that are available to our students because of the structure is being able to incorporate the design thinking process to create, design, and sell some of our school merchandise that we're also going to show you in a little bit. And they're also setting up and starting to run our school store and manage the store. We've also created a bit of a collaboration with our athletic department and our office staff where students are working to control our inventory a little bit. So our accounting students and our business students are keeping track of uniform being dispensed and collected, as well as PE strip when we're selling that. So trying to organize that and get some practical hands-on experience in inventory control. And cross-curricular, lots of our staff at Hanson obviously is really open to collaboration and innovation. And last year we offered a new collaboration between our Anatomy 12 teacher and our Economics 12 teacher. They did some really interesting projects in the class. One of them, as the essential question there, should there be an open market for organs, which created some great debates within the class. And they also created some community connections by going out to some of our feeder elementary schools and working with them. So hopefully we can keep adding new collaborations and innovations over the next few years.
Okay, so now her Simmer is going to come and share with us a little bit about her experience as a student in the School of Business.
Once again, hello everyone. My name is Christopher Dollywell. I am a grade 12 student in the School of Business program. I'm here to talk a little bit about what the student experience looked like within the program. So it all kind of begins in the second semester of grade 11, where we're split into our respective cohorts. What this looks like is that we're taking our 4 classes a day with the same 30 students every day. This may seem tiring in some sense because you're seeing the same 30 faces all day. However, it's kind of the cornerstone that the program is built on, right? By knowing each other well, we're able to communicate and work with a shared passion. By reflecting the modern day dynamics that are present within the workforce, but more importantly, reflecting on the way that the program is actually structured. So rather than like standardized testing and all that jazz, our program focuses a lot on project-based learning as well as inquiry-based learning. So an example of this would be one of the assignments that I did last year, which involved the Coca-Cola case study assignment. This wanted us to pitch, design, and market a new flavor. What this allowed us to do is we looked into analyzing market trends, looking at what consumers are wanting. We used design principles to design compelling logos, and then we used the ADA model to create compelling marketing strategies. Now, what this allowed us to do is communicate, focus on teamwork, and focus on collaboration. Skills that we otherwise would not be able to work on had it just been like sitting in a classroom watching a teacher present. As much as we love our teachers, that isn't exactly the best way for us to learn, right? Furthermore, our program allows students to get some real-world experience with internships, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Other than that, a key point of our program is it allows us to become experts in the topics that we're learning, right? So a key idea and focus that our program shows is that we'll have the key ideas that we're trying to learn, and there'll be subsects of those topics. We're invited to essentially become experts in those topics and do research and learn about them, and then come together and share with our peers and classmates. This allows us to become experts, but also share the knowledge that we've learned, letting us not only be listeners, but leaders in those topics. And finally, the program allows students to exceed, even if they might not thrive in that typical traditional educational setting, right? This allows all students to succeed rather than just a group that are particularly excelled in like public speaking or with tests and whatnot. As a whole, what this program allows us to do is set those foundations needed for success, whether that be in jumping straight into a career, post-secondary education, or starting a business, right? It allows us to set those foundations that are required for success. Thank you.
Thanks for Simmer. And Harveen Tour is going to join us to share about her experience on her internship last year.
Hi everyone, my name's Harveen and I'm a grade 12 student from the School of Science at Rick Hansen. I'll talk a little bit about the picture later, but you can see that's me. So last year in grade 11, I had the chance to take part in the School of Science and Business's internship program. So one day each week, we had Wednesdays off to work in real-world settings around the community, gaining hands-on experience and earning credits. So originally, I had joined the School of Science because I thought I was going to go into healthcare, but when it came time to choose an internship, I stepped out of my comfort zone and chose BC Helicopters, a local flight school. I ended up there because the owner is actually friends with my calculus teacher, so I had to get the opportunity, which I'm so grateful for. It turned out to be a life-changing experience that completely shifted my career goals towards aviation. Working with BC Helicopters felt like being part of one big family. Everyone from the maintenance engineers to the pilots to the flight students was so supportive and close-knit. There was this unique sense of community that made me feel welcome right away. It wasn't just the technical skills I picked up, it was the people who made me love aviation even more. Being surrounded by such passionate individuals made me realize that this is the kind of field I want to go into. Having that one day each week to explore a real work setting really made all the difference. It allowed me to dive deep not just into the work, but also into a community that inspired me. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to participate in this program. It's an amazing way for students to gain valuable skills, discover new paths, and to be influenced by the people they meet along the way. So this is a picture of me standing next to a little helicopter which is known as a Cabri G2. This is what flight students use to learn how to fly. And a cool story behind this picture is that I was actually able to fly this helicopter at the infield at the Abbotsford Airport. So Sancho, the owner of the flight school, took me out on a short flight and he let me practice using the controls one by one and then all together. And I know what you're probably thinking, but he made sure we were in he made sure we were in a nice open field away from any and all people. I think this moment is where it all shifted for me. Being able to experience how to fly is something indescribable. I'm truly grateful for this program and for my school because without them, none of this would have been possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Harveen. Oh, whoops. We're gonna go. Where did it go? There we go. I would just like to share with you another really unique aspect about our program, and that is the post-secondary opportunities that we provide for students in their grade 12 year. For the last 3 years, we have been in a partnership as a school with a college that's located on UBC campus in Vancouver. And it's a small liberal arts university transfer college called Corpus Christi College. And Corpus Christi offers a program to public schools called the Running Start program. So what this means is that in second semester, in a few months' time, Harveen and her Simmer and their classmates, during their school day, will have a university instructor come to us to teach them university-level courses at Rick Hansen during their school day. So this is our third year in partnership with Corpus Christi. The first year we had one section of first year English 150. That grew to 2 sections, and this year we will have 50 of our grade 12 students completing first year English in second semester. And interest in the program has grown so much that this year we're also able to offer for the first time first year calculus. So we have 13 very brave students who are just finishing Calculus 12, and they are ready to take on their first year calculus next semester on our timetable. I'm really pleased to say that so far we have a 100% successful completion rate of our post-secondary classes by our School of Business and Science program. And to wrap up, you might have noticed that on the bottom of our slides, we decided to include a few little colored blocks. And as we were reflecting on, as a group on that, we really wanted to just demonstrate to you how the board's strategic plan is really interwoven into what we do. It's a part of the fabric of who we are. And so I think that I could talk for a long time, and I know we're short on student success, engaging opportunities. I think that we've got those covered already. I'll quickly highlight for you how our merchandise shop is helping us to optimize resources in our building. Not only is it a learning experience for our students to learn how to design and market and sell and do accounting, it's providing a small profit in terms of selling merchandise. And then also with managing the inventory of our athletic wear, when you think about outfitting a sports team with jerseys and so on, each jersey costs about $100. If we fail to get them back, if we don't manage our inventory well, that can be really costly for us. So it's a service that's really helping us to be better stewards of our resources. And the last thing that I'll mention is under progressive workforce. We're just so privileged as a staff to have such remarkable teachers, teachers who are really leading the way with inquiry and collaboration, cross-curricular collaboration, and project-based learning. One of our instructors in the program has been recognized with a Governor General's Teaching Award and is providing in-house mentorship for other staff in our entire school in the inquiry-based model. And so we're really a little microcosm that's working hard, and I think bringing to life the goals of the district. We made a promotional video, and we don't have time to share it with you, but we were recognized as a district program, and so we would like to extend an invitation to students from other schools to come and participate in what we're doing. And so I think that the link to the promo video is going to be shared with you if you'd like to watch it at a later time.
It's in your board package.
Yeah. And the last thing that I have is that we do have a few little gifts. These are designed, produced, and made garments by students in our merchandise shop. So the logo, everything about it was designed by students, created by students, and it's our most current, they're calling it limited edition Hanson wear. And so you're the first people to get it. We have one for Superintendent Nozek and one for Board Chair Schroeder.
Yeah, apparently. Thank you. My hands are hot. Thank you. I will open this later this evening. But I'm excited.
We would like to see it.
Yeah, well, you will. You will see it. But first, I do want to turn Trustee Neufeld, and here we go.
Well, it wasn't too long ago that the board sat around and looked at the West Side schools and some of the challenges that were faced there. And along with senior staff and also the staff at Rick Hansen, came up with some creative ideas. And I'm just so proud of you guys for what you've done with those programs and how that school is thriving. It's an emotional thing for me because you never want to see schools struggle. And the passion that you put in for students and the beautiful programs that you put in there, it just speaks so well of the people that work in this district. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Peterson, Trustee Rowe.
Thank you, and thanks Brent and Jamie for your leadership with this. And Trish, I'm not sure how you find placements for all these people. Lots of phone calls. You must have great connection with the community. It's interesting, we had a conversation about topics we want to talk about as a board at our next planning session. And one of them was, we asked the superintendent to come up with, what are some of the innovative programs that we have in our district? Because somebody had mentioned one from another district, and our superintendent rightfully reminded us we have 1 million of them. And boy, this is sure an example of that. So thank you, it's exceptional.
Thank you. Trustee Rowe, go ahead.
I don't know if it's working, but anyway, thanks so much for, I'm an engineer, my wife's an engineer, she has an MBA, so like science, business, like fits really well. Our oldest 2 children are ABC taking engineering right now too, not because we forced them to. So anyway, it's just so nice, and there's so much opportunity coming from the programs
Thank you, Trustee Roque. Now, just so everybody is aware, we're having technical issues with our microphones, and our microphones are what broadcasts us out to the rest of the world, but we will continue. Trustee Kandaraj,
Yeah, thank you, Charlton. Thank you for your presentation. And to Har Simmer and Harveen, as Indo-Canadian females, and sometimes we used to be a minority, but we're really not anymore because we're a third of the population of Abbotsford. So kudos to you to go into business and aviation and just creating a change and being that power of change to the next generation. And I loved going to that event, Jamie. I don't know what it was called last year. Celebration of Learning. I think you guys were there, right? Okay, because you looked familiar, and I was there watching the Sarah for Women. They had a fundraiser raising money to support Sarah for Women, and you guys are doing great things. And when I went to school, yeah, I did hear things about Rick Hansen, and it's great to see that it's flourishing, and it's becoming amazing. It's because of the staff and the students, so thank you.
Thank you. Do I see other hands? No? Okay, so I am going to chime in here along with Trustee Neufeld around it wasn't that long ago that it feels like yesterday sometimes, and then it feels like, I don't know, 15 years ago that we were having a conversation about how we were going to create more opportunity for students within the Rick Hansen School, and you have really run with this, and it is so great to see. So thank you for that. And I guess who's your trustee liaison? Okay, so me again.
This is fixed.
This is fixed. Young ladies, it is my pleasure to say thank you in person. Congratulations, I was also there last year. So thank you so much for coming this evening and being so articulate and clear about what it is your passions are and what drives you. So thank you for that. And thank you. All right.
Thank you, Rick Hansen.
No, it's fine.
Trustees, we'll keep rolling here if you're good. We have some very special guests with us this evening. Thank you for your patience while our schools gave their presentations, and thank you again, Hanson folks. You will recall at our last board meeting, we drew your attention to just a wonderful legacy gift that had been prepared by the Abbotsford Retired Teachers Association. It's the What's in a Name project, where the origins of all our school names were researched and shared and now posted on our websites. And so I know you were so excited and pleased as I was. And so with us this evening, we have three of the members, and I hope I get your names right. I think we have Gloria and Linda and Madeline. And so we'd love you to come forward, maybe if you don't mind, close to the microphone, and say thank you. We'll say thank you, and we may have some questions to ask of you as well.
We'll say thank you.
Yeah, we'll say thank you, exactly.
We're very, very pleased to be here. It's been a project that, I don't know how much you know about how we all started this, but I'll just give you kind of the history. Is the Abbotsford Retired Teachers Association turned 50 in 2023. So I'm the president of it, and I basically thought we should have a project. We should have some sort of legacy. And so we decided at one of our executive meetings that we would basically investigate the named schools only and write up a report. And under the leadership of Linda, right, we expanded it.
The name school of people who were representing a person.
Yes,
right?
a person. We only were gonna, it was gonna be this big of a project. So what happened was that the more we got into it, the more we realized we can't stop with just the names. What we've got to do is we've got to do all the schools. So we thought, in our innocence and our nativity, that basically we would have dozens of people coming up to help us. But what it turned out to be it's the three of us. And we had a little bit of help from one or two people along the way, which we appreciated very much because it took the workload off of us. But on the whole, it was basically the three of us who had to get it done. And we're just so pleased that we're at this point that we can share it with you. And how it all started was that my grandson, who turned 5, he went to kindergarten in Vancouver to Lord Selkirk. And Lord Selkirk is one of the largest schools in Vancouver. And he asked his dad, who's Lord Selkirk? And so my son had to look it up, and then he was explaining to me about how, the history, he wanted the history of the school. And I thought, oh, that's what we should do here in Abbotsford, because there's so many people who don't know who Harry Sayers was, who don't know who even why Dormick Park is named after his Dor Mick, right? So we thought we would help out. So anyhow, Linda was our leader, and Madeline did all the French translations, because we have French. So we basically, we were a team. So anyhow, Linda, do you want to say anything?
This is so fantastic. What I am going to do is I'm going to open it up to the table for questions and or comments. So, Trustee Rouk.
I don't think this is working, but it doesn't matter. You can hear me. Yeah, I just think it's so lovely to go back and look at the history. So thank you for doing that, because every school has a history that goes back. And sometimes we're only focusing on certain sectors of, our community when we go way back. But, every school has its own history. So.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay. Thank you. Trustee Wright.
I think this is working. No, thank you so much for doing it. Can you share with us one or two really interesting things that you found out during this adventure? Something that you found so unique or so different?
Okay, Linda, do you have any?
There were some, I'm sorry, it's been a while since I did this, you understand.
Thank you.
I'm used to Diane to public speaking. I think it was interesting to realize how fleeting fame is. Because there are people who have schools named after them, and now people look at those names and think, well, who are those people? So it sort of reminds us that there are changes and things are left behind, new things come along. So we were really hoping that looking at the history of school names would help the public, students, staff realize how communities change and what's valued 50 years ago, what made you worthy of having a school named after you is very different now. Because if you look at the past names, they are business people, businessmen, community leaders, community men, and almost always European descent. And nowadays, of course, there's emphasis on the First Nations people being recognized, women, science. So many other factors now come into how a school is named, and I think that's really a mark of progress for us all. We were hoping that part of that history would help the modern children and public realize how things change.
Also made us realize that we're really old school. In
Oh,
the
yes.
sense that
Yes.
we wanted to do
Oh,
like,
yeah.
one of those big box with
A resource kit.
resource kit that we used to order, and then we realized everything is done online. And then I thought, how are you going to do it? We had all those questions, and they would say, don't worry about it. We'll do this. Don't worry about that. That'll be done. And really, to me, it was a big surprise because, at the beginning of the project, it was a little bit different because we really thought, we would have books, we would have a resource
It was
kit
a
that
very
we used
sharp
to-
learning curve.
One of the interesting things that I learned by doing this project was that I was teaching at Dave Candle, which the students were here for 17 years, and I had a good relationship with Mr. Candle, because he would come to our school and he would visit us, and he would even coach basketball with our boys. So I was quite interested to hear his history, and one of the most interesting things was that he was a teacher who became a pilot, and he was in a jet flying over Vancouver, and there's two jets together. I don't know if you guys have read this, but basically you should. There's two jets. He and another pilot were flying over Vancouver, over the ocean, I think off of Kitsilano, and basically his jet clipped the wing of the other jet, and basically what happened was is that he had to eject, and the plane went in the water. So it was interesting to hear that about him. I know, yeah. So anyhow, yeah.
We
But-
learned a lot. We learned a
But
lot.
we appreciate Christy very much for doing this with us and being so quick off the mark. She was just hired here as well, and she's been quick off the mark, and Marley, Annie as well. They were terrific. They've been terrific. So we really appreciate you guys.
Trustee Candirajwan.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. To Linda, Madeline, and Gloria, I have to think 3 words that come to mind is passion, perseverance, and patience. Passion that you wanted to do this, you did it. Patience, I can only imagine the process. Like you said, you thought about boxes and you weren't sure where to find stuff. And perseverance, it sounded like you had a great idea and people behind you, and then all of a sudden, it was the 3 of you. So it's hard to follow through and like make it come to full fruition. So thank you for doing that. And
Thank
it's
you.
creating history in Abbotsford, not just for us, but for our next generation.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
And thank you too for the support of the district staff who saw us through the last 2 years. We've appreciated that.
Are there any other questions or comments? I just want to add a little bit about, and this may have come up in your research about Dave Candle, because he went on to become a trustee and a counselor. He was also the president of BC School Trustees Association.
Yes,
And when he passed, they sent out a notice of recognition of his passing to everybody.
He was the last mayor of Matsqui.
Yes,
too.
he was.
Yeah,
Yes, he ran
yeah.
against George Ferguson. I remember it well. Shows you that I'm getting a little older too. I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart on behalf of the board. This is a work of love. And I know that when Christy took it on, she was like, oh, this is going to be fun. And I know she enjoyed it. And I want to thank her for picking up the ball and running with it, because my understanding is that this has been sitting on the side for a while, and it's so nice to have it there, because I think that not only will the students benefit, but I think our community will benefit. And I thank you for that. I don't have any liaison cards to hand you, sorry.
Well, that's okay.
But
We're all right.
so it is with appreciation, so thank you so much for doing
Well,
this.
thank you
Well,
for
you're
having
welcome.
us here
Yes,
too.
we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we are, we are moving on in the agenda now. You are welcome to stay, you don't have to run out.
Well, that's okay. There's a hockey game, a little election.
And then the election.
Yes, both of those things, there you go. Okay, so we're, that's so nice. Achievement and results. Actually, just before we move off of acknowledgements, I do just want to remind everybody, we are wearing our poppies, and Monday is Remembrance Day. And I know that there's a lot going on in our schools, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. So, over to you, Superintendent Nozek.
Thank you,
again.
Chair Wilson. Yes, we have a couple of strategic plan updates for you this evening. First up, from our Communications Department, I'm going to ask Christy Ferguson, our Senior Manager of Communications and Community Engagement, to give you an update.
I have notes. All right. I haven't used this device before. So good evening, everybody. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm Christy Ferguson, as Superintendent Ozick introduced me, and I am proud to be the Senior Manager of Communications and Community Relations. Going to go through our progress report here. So tell you a little bit about our department. The Communications Department leads internal and external communication strategies that are aimed at engaging students, parents, employees, community partners, and the broader community. You can see here our areas of focus, and it shows that we work with just about everybody across the district. Primarily, our work is under the, there we go, the Engaging Opportunities pillar. However, because we work with so many people across the district, we actually do touch upon most of those. But most of our work is within the Engaging Opportunities. So I started in July of this year. So most of this work, looking back, was prior to my being here. So I hope I do it justice in sharing what the team worked on prior to my arrival. So there was continued work on the Drupal upgrades for our district website. Drupal is the platform that the websites are on. And that is a very big project that needed to be updated on a very large scale. So that happened last year, or started to happen last year. They also increased the utilization of videos for storytelling and for highlighting district programs. There was the creation of AP 301-2, which falls under the Access to Students Administrative Procedure. And through this process, we're streamlining distribution of information to students. So no longer do the admin assistants need to get all kinds of flyers from people in the community. Instead, we now have an electronic place that has come central through communications, and then we share it out with the broader community via social media and by email to families. And last year, the district engagement portal was utilized for the multi-year strategic plan and during budget consultations. So that was what happened last year. So now looking ahead, I can speak to a little more clearly. So some of this was identified prior to my arrival, and some of this is what I have uncovered during my research over the past few months. So stakeholder engagement and community building. Continuing to learn and build relationships with all of our stakeholders, to meet with them, as I did with the group that we just met, and many others, and to learn how we've worked together previously and what opportunities there are going forward. Also identifying our various communities within Abbotsford and incorporating various tactics into our larger strategy to engage with each of them. Supporting internal employee engagement and retention is a really one that is I really enjoy working with HR on. I've offered some new ideas around recruitment advertising, some different ways of advertising, and communications tactics aimed at employee retention. So one of those tactics is encouraging good news stories to feature our staff. We do a really great job, I think, of featuring our students and what we're doing on our programs, but sharing the excellence of our staff to a broader audience can definitely support retention efforts. The digital transformation and the integration of AI. As I mentioned, the websites were updated to Drupal 9, but that was really just the beginning. There is a lot of work that is still ongoing, and websites are a dynamic project. They always need updating, but this one in particular was a very big upgrade. So I've been working with our developers to just make sure that people have an excellent experience when they come. We're talking about community engagement, and we're trying to find ways to get people to come to our website, to read our stories. And there were a lot of clicks to get to where we were trying to get people to go. So that's just one of the projects I've been working with the developers to make it a really excellent user experience. AI, the integration of AI. Of course, in communications, we have lots of AI tools that we already use. but staying apprised to all the new ones, which is hard to do because I feel like every day there's 3 or 5 new ones. But looking at ways that we can better communicate with, within the district, with our public, using AI tools. And crisis communications in the digital age. For me, this is creating a really strong strategy around handling negativity and different happenings online. I think the best way to do that is by actively listening. And we have tools that can help us with that. We have social listening tools that have the opportunity for us to be notified immediately when it's picked up online. So I think we have a lot of work to do in this area, but I think that we have the tools and we can just better utilize them. So I would love to share some of the successes to date in the past few months. So community partnerships, you just met this wonderful group. It was my pleasure to take that project on and make it a reality. They had patiently been waiting for someone to action it. So it was really great to do. And then just still identifying and working with our key partners, meeting with DPAC, seeing how we can support the DPAC, meeting with the Salvation Army, and all the different great partners, and just seeing how we can engage that, just keep up that engagement. Community engagement, I really want to solidify our strategy around that. There's lots of different stakeholders, and I just think it's really important that we have a really great roadmap of who they are, how we're going to engage with them, where they are at, meeting them where they're at, that sort of thing. So I'm working on new and renewed ways to obtain and share good news stories across the district. We've implemented some exciting video series that will be coming up in the new year, and hopefully that these will engage our internal and our external audiences. Sorry. So storytelling, we have had good news stories in the local media in September, in October, and now in November. There was one just yesterday, which was really great. And I want to keep those up. We like to have them in the story, but so did the community. The Abbey News told me this is exactly what we want. We want these good news stories. This is what our readers want. So we're creating an editorial calendar that will highlight not just our good news stories, but our programs and academies and everything that we have going on at the district, and put that all in an editorial calendar so that we know what's coming. We know that we need to go get those stories, and that it's just laid out for us so that we can keep up that engagement. Our social media strategy was one of the first projects I worked on when we got here. I was really curious to see what we were posting on each social network and how are we saying it. We started that work immediately when I started. We laid out all of the different networks and talked about our strategic goals and what we wanted to say within them. It also had us looking at our videos. So you heard me say that last year, one of the priorities was to make videos to highlight district programs as well as good news stories. So we have a lot of excellent videos. However, previous social strategy was to post on YouTube, but only on YouTube. The challenge with that is that most of our videos are long form. So the one that you get in your board package for tonight from the School of Business and Science, it's a long form video. It's very long, and it doesn't really fit with social media. So what we did is we've tested a few of our videos by taking the long form and editing them into shorter, punchier, social media friendly versions to see what the views would look like. And the results have been really excellent. I'm going to share this first one with you here. It's very quick.
In the Abbotsford School District, Indigenous support workers are essential to student success, cultural identity, and equity and access through advocacy. They build strong relationships with Indigenous students and their families, offering consistent support in academic, social, and emotional development. These support workers help students feel proud of their cultural heritage, guiding them through challenges like academics, finances, and personal well-being. They play a key role in fostering cultural pride, not only for Indigenous students, but for the entire school community. Their presence creates a sense of belonging and cultural safety, empowering students to thrive in all areas of life. Check out the full story on the Abbotsford School District's YouTube channel.
So this was prepared in 2023 for an admin day. So it was sent out to all of the district staff as well as put on YouTube. In the 1 year, it has been updated since then, it had about 500 views. We created this one, put it up on social, and shared it amongst our 4 platforms. And in 1 month, it has had 9,000 views. So I think the strategy is one that we will continue. We did the same with Superintendent Nozek's Welcome Back video. His one on YouTube from last year, which his was more Meet Superintendent Nozek, and this year was his Welcome Back video. They had very similar views on YouTube. But we made the social version, same thing, about a minute long, put it onto social media, and it now has over 8,000 views. So. You know, so the more views we have, it's more eyes and ears on our strategic plan in action. And it will gain us more followers, which will have more people to engage with in the future for important messaging. So we will continue that tactic. And to note, these were not paid. That is also part of the strategy, to have some paid boosted ads, but these were not paid. It was just a different strategy by having a shorter video. I promise I'm almost done. This is my last slide. So our current initiatives and future plans included strengthening our brand internally. So at the beginning of the school year, we went through and ensured that all our district templates were updated and current. And then we sent a message out to all of the district staff to remind them all, or to let them know if they were new, where they can find our communications templates, to encourage them to make sure that they have their updated email signature, so it's consistent across the district, and that they all had their current and correct land acknowledgement. Development of the social media strategy I've just talked about, but part of that is including an analytics dashboard. So I'm having an analytics dashboard built that will really help us to see how our engagement is working online. So it's gonna pull from social media, from our internal newsletters that we send out. It'll even pull from offline stuff. When we send out a newspaper ad, for example, with a QR code, that's gonna bring people back to our website. So it's gonna let us know how our strategies are working. Repurposing and creating assets for multi-purpose uses is exactly what I was just talking about, how we are going to find ways to repurpose a lot of the videos that have already been made to help continue to tell our story and engage the public. The editorial calendar I mentioned earlier as well. That one basically is it's a roadmap for us to be able to make sure that we are telling the fulsome story of the district. Conducting a brand refresh for specific district programs. So we are actually starting with early years. I know that that's what the focus of one of the board objectives. And what we're doing is bringing their early years website that is currently not a part of our umbrella and bringing them over. And in doing that, it will help to strengthen the brand. They're not going to lose their fun early years look, but we will incorporate more Abbey Schools branding into it so that at first look it's very clear that they're a district program. We have created visuals for the new multi-year strategic plan that are in poster format that will be making their way in the next few weeks into every school and site across the district, so that most of them are right outside the office or right as soon as you walk in the school. So that will be available. It has a big QR code on it, so hopefully it's an inviting thing for lots of teachers and students and parents to engage with our strategic plan. And finally, formalizing that AP, the new 301-2, the processes around it. It was a brand new AP at the end of last school year, so we've learned a lot over the past few months as we're getting into this and learning how to tweak that to make sure that it's the most engaging that it can be and that it's working as intended. So that's it from me for this evening.
All
Does
right.
anybody have any questions?
Questions?
Thrilled. Yeah.
Trustee Neufeld is always for Southgate these days. Trustee Rout.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for such a great presentation, right? Like, sometimes people wonder about, you know, why do we do this, right? But this kind of program builds pride in our community, right? And confidence in our education system, and you know, if you multiply that by 20,000 families and so on, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're using our system, that can be pretty powerful. And then of course it brings, it highlights what a great system we have, and it brings talent into our district, we hope. So those are some great reasons to be doing all the hard work you're doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Did you want to elaborate further on your throat?
I'm sorry, I've got a cold, and the more I talk, the more it irritates my throat. But no, I just think you're hitting the nail on the head, and you're diversifying our extended view from the community. I love what you're doing in the paper. Long overdue, very good job. I read it all the time, and I'm very proud of it. So thank you for what you're doing. It's a very good start in your first year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Trustee Kendra Rajwan.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I have to say, it's great that we're changing the way we want to connect with people and using social media, because we know everyone's using it. And you're proving that having a shorter video, we're getting more views to let them know what the district is doing in Abbotsford. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't see any other hands, Christy, but I do want to say thank you. And you've not been here very long at all, and you've accomplished quite a bit in that short time. So kudos to you, and thank you for the work you've already done and the work that I can tell that you're going to get done. On behalf of the board, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
I don't want to do that, John.
Thank you, Christy. And our final strategic update this evening from our Human Resources Department. Please welcome Trish Lowe.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Okay. So, good evening. I am really pleased to be able to share with you some of the work that the Human Resources team has done over the last year, and then to talk a little bit about what we've got in store for this coming year. So our breadth of services hasn't changed. It's remained constant since last year, and this is just a quick summary of the various services that we do offer. From it's basically from hiring to retiring and everything in between, and providing services to ensure that our employees stay safe and well throughout their careers with us. And although our work has tentacles into all 4 pillars of our strategic plan, of course, we are primarily focused on ensuring that we have services and programs that support a progressive workforce. So looking back to last year, one of our objectives was to increase workforce capacity and employee engagement. So some of those activities included a review of our practicum programs and enhancing the practicum student experience. So we've worked with all of our partners and our post-secondary education institutions to look at what that practicum experience can be. And look to it as a recruiting avenue. We also implemented a new ERP system to eventually enhance functionality and workflow. I think for many of you that may have or have had some experience in implementing a new software system or a new HRIS, you know that there's always inevitable bumps along the way, and so we're currently in that stage right now where the systems have been implemented, but we're still working out some of those wrinkles. We also designed and implemented an employee engagement survey, which we'll talk about in the next few slides. Just to give you an idea of our recruitment and in comparison to previous years, this year we hired 194 teachers. I'm including in there our UTALK, so the uncertified employees teaching on call. We hired 37 of those this year, and our support staff, 151. So turning our attention to the employee engagement survey, you will recall that we did have a debrief on the survey and the results, but just a quick refresh. It was produced some very positive results. We had an overall engagement score of 63% from employees. We had a 55% response rate, so not bad numbers. Those are some of the themes of what emerged in terms of what our strengths were out of the survey. So talent, skill, and knowledge, trust, safety, and belonging. Our employees feel that their work is meaningful, and agency and well-being, so the ability and the creativity to be able to do their work in a manner that they see fit. Some of the challenges that were identified, senior leaders are aware of our challenges. Workload is reasonable. Others are held accountable, feeling valued, and transparency in the organization. So these were some of the challenges that were identified. Many of our employees do not feel that those statements resonated with them. So these are areas for us to really explore further and dig into, and together with our colleagues in the rest of the district come up with some strategies to address these. One of the ways that we are hoping to do that is by enhancing our leadership excellence. So last year what we did was implemented a revised Principal Induction Academy program, which we've now reimagined into another program, which I'll talk about shortly, and strengthening our leaders coaching practices. So offering additional learning opportunities to our new and aspiring leaders. This is an overview of our district leadership programs. This is our framework that we've now implemented. So you'll see that what was formerly called the VP and Principal Induction Program is now called the New Leader Induction Program, which is that column two in from the left. So the New Leader Induction Program now incorporates not only just new administrators, so new educators, but also new leaders who are in the ops stream and the exempt stream. It remains a one-year program. We have evolved the program to include not just the 1 day in Whistler, but 3 full days of training and onboarding, as well as a comprehensive program for the remainder of the year. The Leadership Academy is also new this year. So the Leadership Academy was formerly called the Teacher Leadership Academy. And again, here's another opportunity where we've expanded it to include aspiring leaders from our support group and our ops and exempt group as well. We also have a mentoring program, and it should be no surprise to you, we've opened that up as well to our support, ops, and exempt staff. So while we did have quite a robust system of leadership development for educators, it was clear that we were missing out on some other cohorts within our district. One of the things that we didn't talk about in the survey, or that didn't come up as one of the top or bottom trends, was this feeling of siloing, and people feeling this disparity between occupational groups. And so we are looking at ways to build that culture and looking at ways for people to learn and spend time together. And so being able to incorporate all three occupational groups into these types of programs is one way that we're hoping to tackle that. Enhancing health and safety of employees. So we did complete a number of the site-based violence risk assessments. They are quite comprehensive and labor-intensive. So we weren't able to complete as many as we had hoped, but we still realized a 10% increase over the previous year. The other thing that we did was embarked on a marketing campaign of our EFAP program, so that's the Employee and Family Assistance Program. Our current provider is TELUS Health. We spent some time sharing the services with staff through our various channels, and we actually saw a 10% increase in our EFAP utilization, which is actually a very good thing. That means that more people are recognizing that they need help and are seeking that help. Other successes, so implementing the UTalk program. Here's a success story where we worked with the union to collaborate with them on what that program would look like, how we would recruit people, and the framework around it. One of the ancillary benefits that this program has produced for us is it started out as a way to address our issue of not having teachers and not having consistent presence in classrooms. So, but what it has now developed into is an avenue for recruiting for us. So we're able to see people, young people, people who are interested in embarking on second careers, even people that have retired from primary careers and are interested in teaching, gives them an opportunity to see whether or not it is a fit for them, and also for the district to have eyes on them to see whether or not they would be a good fit for us, and to give them that opportunity to learn and grow. We have enhanced our recruitment efforts of university teacher candidates placed in schools. So Lisa Berdini, our new district principal in HR, is working very hard with her team to focus efforts on recruitment and visiting with teacher candidates at their schools. As I mentioned, we implemented SparkRock, which was the ERP program, and we also developed a e-course for leaders on workplace violence prevention. So our emerging areas of need. We've talked about recruiting. That is an ongoing area of need, not just in our sector, but in all sectors across the board. Organizational stress, continuing to strengthen our labor management relations is something that we need to focus on, and then overall employee wellness. Looking ahead at this year, these are some of the projects that we're hoping to implement. So leveraging our existing and forming new partnerships to enhance recruiting. So that might be looking at partnering with universities, partnering with the unions at recruitment drives. We will be running another engagement survey check-in. It will be a very truncated version of the survey that we'll be able to run in-house. And that's more just to measure how we're doing against our baseline after about a year and a half or so since the last survey. We will be continuing to engage with our leaders and employees. We'll be developing new programs and partnerships to enhance employee wellness and psychological safety. And we are working on an employee orientation and onboarding and offboarding process. And that's it. I'm happy to welcome any questions.
Thank you, Trish. Trustee White.
Hopefully this is working now. Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. I like to see the leadership here dedicated to this time, and I'm also really impressed with the fact that we're even showing it. You know, I note that one of the challenges was transparency, and even just sharing those results at a public meeting, in my mind, speaks to that we're listening, speaks to that we're trying to be more transparent. So I'm really impressed with just the fact we're sharing this in the public, and I'm really impressed with the way we're trying to mitigate that. I strongly suspect, given when this survey was taken, if the survey was given, a few months from now, I think it would be very different. So, good job.
Thank you. Thank you. Others? Trustee Rai?
Just a couple of questions. Thank you for the presentation. How many uncertified teachers do we have? Or
37.
37, okay. I thought maybe we hired 37 this year and some from before. No, so it's total 37. And do the teachers who retire come back to us for TOCs or something like that? Or are we targeting them? Like you did mention that we are targeting them, but do they come back, or any percentages on them?
Some of them do. I don't have any metrics for you.
Okay.
Anecdotally, I just talked to somebody today from Abbey Senior who is thinking of retiring and had questions about joining the TOC list. So I think that there are definitely some opportunities there.
And finally, are we still having some recruitment issues, or we are sort of gone over the hump now and we are fine now?
So recruitment is always an issue for us, and it is an issue universally. I think we're just dealing with a different workforce, and post-COVID now there are people just have different expectations of what they want their work to be. So we are looking at trying to find creative ways to recruit. We're actually looking at retention as an avenue for recruiting, because our employees are actually our best recruiters. So if we can create an environment and a workplace where they love to work, they will tell their friends, and the word spreads. So that's an effort that we are going to be making this year.
Thank you, and I'm glad to see that the teachers, the trainee teachers who are coming to our schools, you're trying your best to keep them.
Yes. Yes.
And sorry, one more question. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
How are we with the French immersion teachers? We had we couldn't recruit enough of them, and
Yes.
are we still in that boat, or we are getting a little bit better?
We're getting a little bit better. Lisa and her team went to a recruiting fair in Ontario, specifically to recruit French immersion teachers, and that was successful. I know that it is still a need, but I would say that it's less than last year.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Again, Trustee Roque? Okay.
Trish, thanks for all your hard work. We often say that the adults in the classroom need to be in a good place in order for our kids to be in a good place, right? So what you're doing is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Trish, thank you so much for presenting this evening. And likewise, you are fairly new to the district, and you jumped right in with both feet, and you figured out what some of our bigger concerns were. Recruitment and retention and engagement are big deals. And I really love this idea between you and communications around profiling our own staff, and that our own employees, and that they are probably our best recruiters, because they will bring others along as well. Thank you. And congratulations for the work that you have been doing.
Thank you. Thank you. If I may plug 2 events that are coming up
Go ahead.
and invite you all to, if you have the time. On, I believe it's November the 27th. We haven't sent out invitations yet, but we will be hosting new employee orientation. It's going to venue TBD, but we are expecting more than 250 employees to attend. So these are all new employees that we've hired since January. It is a welcome event where we will introduce the district, hopefully some of our trustees, talk a little bit about the work that we do and what they can expect as new employees to the district. The second event is on December the 3rd as part of our HR workshop series, which is geared towards all of our district leaders, so PVPs and ops management managers. We'll be having a special guest presenter. Retired Chief Constable Bob Rich is going to be coming to do a presentation on resilience in leadership.
Yeah, Bob Rich, I don't think I can miss that one. That's great. We'll look forward to the invitations. Thank you, Trish.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Right, now, I'm actually going to open this one. This is a notice of motion that was presented 2 weeks ago and is now here as a motion. I will ask Trustee Rauch if he's going to move it, and if you are, then you can open it, except you can't do that until we have a seconder to get it on the floor. Right?
Yeah, I'd like to move the motion. Would you like me to read it, Chair Wilson?
No, it's okay. Seconded by Trustee White?
Yeah, it's not working again.
Oh, okay, your mic's not working. All right, so Trustee Rauch, at this point, if you'd like to read the motion and if you'd like to address it, you have about 5 minutes.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I'll just give a little background of why I made the motion, and I'll read the motion. So the motion is that the Board of Education approve asking staff to investigate and report to the board on the benefits and drawbacks of the K-9 proficiency scale with respect to student achievement, and that staff bring suggestions on how the proficiency scale could be supplemented to enhance parent understanding and student achievement. So I think we all agree that the primary reasons for assessment are so that parents are intimately aware of how their child is doing in school, so that we can engage parents when their child might be struggling. And of course, we need to give students feedback so that they know how they're doing as well. My view and the view of many parents that I've spoken with is that the proficiency scale in its current format on its own is just too vague. It has only 4 levels of achievement, and the categories sound inherently positive, with developing, emerging, proficient, and extending. So the risk is that parents become a little bit disconnected from how their child is doing, from their child's learning. And then by the time those parents realize that their child might be struggling, it's hard for that child to catch up. So I think we need to enhance our current system by somehow allowing parents to have access to a more finely calibrated system for them to know how their child is doing. And I think very highly of our superintendent and our staff, and I think it would be best to just ask them to review what's possible to be done and how we could just provide some enhancements.
Thank you, Trustee Rauch. Who would like to speak next, or any questions? Trustee White?
Yeah, I'm cognizant that actually, going back to letter grades is a provincial issue. It was on the ballot recently. That's what provincial elections are for. I know that we can't change that. I know that it's a mandate from the government. But I like the way this motion is worded, because it seems to me it's not about getting rid of the proficiency scale, which I'm not a fan of, but it is about possibly augmenting it, and I wouldn't. Hopefully, it wouldn't be done in a way that would be mandatory necessarily, but more just permissive, like if teachers wanted to. I have had some personal experiences with this. I know people very close to me who it happened to them. Their daughter was, with the extending and the proficiency and the other ones, and seemed to be where they were supposed to be based on this scale. But then it wasn't until grade 7 they realized she was probably a few grades behind in math, and a C in grade 4 would have solved that. It's very, very simple. I think it's undoubted. I think there's been polls done on this. The vast majority of parents find it confusing. Again, we can't change it, but if we can do what we can at a local level to try to augment this to make the feedback loop more clear to parents. And we've had discussions on this board, and we don't all agree on even what all these categories mean. So I think it is inherently confusing. It was a provincial issue because enough parents have risen up, and there has been an outcry about this. I know we can't do anything about this, but I think this strikes a good balance in possibly at least discovering some way forward for us to make it better in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee White. Others? Trustee Kandarajwan?
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I also understand that it's not explicitly covered by our legislation, but there's 3 of us board members that have children in the school system, and we recognize there's a disconnect when it comes to clearly understanding our children's report cards and their grasp of course material. And I'm going to give an example. In the summer, my kids and I, we always do activity books, and I always do an activity book that's from their current grade level. And when one of my kids was doing it, didn't have any idea how to do the work. And it was surprising because in the report card, it indicated that he was proficient. And I feel like the word proficient doesn't clearly identify what knowledge my child has.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Peterson?
I, on the other hand, think that the reaction of many of us to this is simply, it's a change, and it's a change that we're not used to yet. I think this, when used properly, and and we're all learning it, and including teachers, it provides way more information about your child's learning. It says what what they are working on, what they're not particularly good at, and I think it's much better than, I don't know what a C tells you. What does it tell you about what they have learned or not learned? But here's the other thing too. I've got grandchildren in school, and they are regularly graded. I'm proud to say my grandson got 10 out of 10 in his last spelling test, and so they get that feedback. And what we need to do, just as we saw a presentation here, if parents are concerned, go talk to your teacher, as we would even if we were in letter grade system. I think it's just a matter of time before this will be a superior grading system to what we're used to. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Peterson. Trustee Rai?
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I agree with Trustee Peterson, what he was mentioning, and you know what, I've read in certain magazines and other education places that this system is being quite following in the Scandinavian countries, and it's doing really, really well there. And like you said, it's going to take time to make it better. And again, like Trustee Peterson said, the maths test, 10 out of 10, we know what we're doing. And like, again, when I was looking at my kids' report, if there was an A, we thought, oh, wow, this is good. But we really didn't know whether they were understanding everything of what was going on. And this probably will give it a little bit more information. And also, like Trustee Rauk and Trustee White said about, it's a provincial mandate. We really can't do anything about it. And I would also think it'll be a workload issue, which might get into some union issues. So I think the system that we have going on, I think it's fine till more data comes in and we find out if it's working properly or not.
Thank you, Trustee Rai. Trustee Neufeld?
Yeah, I think we're stepping into provincial jurisdiction here, and I think also with unionized concerns, if we add any workload, it'll come back to us. And so to ask staff to put a report together that we can't do much about, to ask staff to put a report together that we're going to possibly add workload to our staff, it probably is not the best use of our time.
Thank you, Trustee Neufeld. Trustee Roque, would you like to close?
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's comments. Just wanted to point out a couple things. One is that I fear most for kids whose parents are very busy. I think these days parents rely so much on a quick snapshot of how their child is doing, and if they see something that's very clear to them and they say, oh, my child is struggling, I better get engaged, I better learn more, I better make sure I go to that parent-teacher interview. Parent-teacher interviews are currently very poorly attended, worse than ever before. So I just fear for those kids, right? Like they're the ones that are gonna get hurt the most. It's not the kids of the parents who are here and engaged. You know, they know how their kid is doing, right? So that's point number one. Point number two, I've seen a lot of report cards. I have a big family, and I've seen two of my children with almost identical proficiency scale. They're both proficient. They both have almost identical language in terms of what I should be doing with them at home, reading, doing this and that, and they look almost identical. Yet one of my kids is clearly far stronger than the other kid in this in reading. So there's just an example of where the scale is just not clear enough. For one, I need to do more work with. For the other one, they're just fine on their own. The results that we're seeing in student achievement is not better, despite having this proficiency scale in place for many years now at the elementary level and now in grade 9. So I don't think we can look to data and say that it's better. And I know that teachers are very willing to give these marks when you talk to them. Like I have yet to talk to a teacher that isn't willing to tell me how my child is doing if I ask for it. Some of them are a little reluctant because they say I'm not really supposed to use that scale, but they're absolutely willing to do it. So I don't actually think we'd get lots of pushback, and particularly if it was voluntary, where a parent can just request it. And like Jared said, we can just say we're enabling teachers to supplement if they wish. So that's my reason for asking for a review. I'm not saying we need to make a change. I'm just simply asking our good staff to say, let's look into this and see if there's something that can be done to be more clear.
Okay.
So that's all I have.
Thank you,
to say.
Trustee Roque. St. Velasek, would you please?
Voting buttons are up.
Voting buttons, fabulous. Thank you. The results will be on the screen in a moment. Right, so it's no if you don't want it, yes if you do want it. All right, so the motion fails. Although what I will say is that the superintendent has already indicated that it will be coming to an education committee at some point for a discussion about what's working well. So if you have further questions, that will go there. And then it will come back in Education Committee minutes to a public agenda. Okay, thank you. Student, I'm going to turn this over to the Secretary Treasurer for the Student Transportation Services Review.
So the board has indicated willingness to have a review of student transportation services. We'll be discussing this at our planning session coming up, but just recommending that we hold off on setting the framework for an actual review until we get a new manager of transportation in place, which hopefully will be by Christmas or at least early in the new year.
Okay. Thank you. So currently that's just for information. Are there questions, or you're going to save those up? Fantastic, saving them up. Okay, 8.5 trustee indemnity report.
Next, just an information item outlining the changes to your trustee indemnities that will be effective on December 1st. And this is following the recommendations in the Trustee Indemnity Committee's report from June of 2022.
Thank you. I will say I spoke with Douglas McAdams, who has chaired all of these reviews to date. And he did ask if it was working well. I mentioned it was on our agenda this evening and what it looked like. And he was extremely thrilled that this is still working, still reflective of Abbotsford and how our community is doing economically, et cetera. So he sends his kudos to the Secretary Treasurer, and that this was not something that was approved by this board. It was approved by a previous board and set for this term.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Questions? No. All right, school budget calendar.
The budget calendar is presented for your review and approval. You'll see that the calendar is similar to last year, where we have a couple of public information meetings. This year won't be a complete strategic planning review as part of the budget process, but simply just a small sort of adjustments to this strategic plan. But we do anticipate still having the public information meetings and regular discussion at either committee or at board meetings.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Moved by trustee Peterson, seconded by trustee Kandaraj. Juan, your voting buttons will be up shortly.
They're up.
Thank you. Now we move to the, thank you everyone, update on enterprise resource planning implementation.
So now that we're nearing completion of this project, I just thought I would give a really quick update to the board on where things are at. So we're, as you know, because you've had to submit expense claims and things, you know we're using the finance modules in the new ERP that has a number of efficiencies built into that. So the finance and accounting departments have worked hard to make sure that's working. We're in the process now. HR is pretty much ready to go in terms of going live on HR. We're right now running some parallel payrolls. So we plan to have I think the administrator payroll go in November live. And then we're still running some parallel payrolls with the intention that we will have payroll fully implemented for January 1st, which really was our set timeline because it falls in line with the T4 cycle to all be within one payroll system. So I just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully, I mean, we're still working through a number of small issues, but in the short time frame, basically about 14 months, our team has done a lot of work to implement this, and it's an instrument, huge task. I also want to just highlight for you that around the budget and the implementation costs related to this. So in 22-23 budget year, the board set aside $600,000 for implementation of this ERP system, and that was the implementation costs. So we have ongoing licensing costs that are part of the regular budget, but these implementation costs were over and above. And I just wanted to report that the budget was about $600,000. So far, we're at just under $500,000 on implementation costs, and we don't anticipate really any more implementation costs. So one more thing I want to do is I often want to send thanks to so many of our folks who work really hard on these implementations. But through the course of all the project meetings that we have, I meet with the consultants on every week now since August. We have a sort of a weekly meeting, touch base, and get a sense of how the project's moving along, and then they meet the next day with our internal teams and do all the work. But through those meetings, a number of people and names have come up, and so I just want to share with you comments that I've received from the consultants on some of our staff. Instead of me telling you what they did, I'll tell you what some other people think of our staff. So in regards to Monica Schulte, our Assistant Secretary Treasurer, they said, one of our consultants said, Monica is a valuable asset to your team. She was good at drawing lines in the sand about what needed to be done to ensure efficiency, and she provided outstanding leadership to her team. Adrienne Harley, who's our Senior Manager of Accounting Services, who I think has carried almost the bulk of so much of the planning work, and whether it's and across systems. So in accounting, in payroll, in HR, she's been a real data source of real knowledge for us. So their comments around Adrienne said, she demonstrated outstanding leadership throughout our project, excelling in both communication and team management. She was committed to thoroughly understanding the administration of SparkRock and took a proactive approach to resolving issues. Her team was highly engaged and responsive, enabling swift progress from both sides. Adrienne remains the district key point of contact for SparkRock. In HR, I'll just comment about Kate, who's Senior HR Manager. She consistently stays informed about issues raised by the Abbotsford team and effectively coordinates with the consultant to provide clear resolutions for both HR and payroll. Her commitment to collaboration and problem solving has been instrumental in driving our project forward. And the last couple, payroll is probably one of the biggest parts of this implementation. Teresa, our payroll manager, they said she demonstrated exceptional leadership by providing us with detailed requirements and quickly grasping the details of our processes.
Her deep understanding was evident when she took the initiative to seamlessly implement many of the modules for employees. And just highlight one of our payroll staff that has really become instrumental to seeing some of these things move forward on the payroll side, Ben Harrison, and they just commented on his expert for reporting analysis and payroll comparisons and identifying discrepancies and accurate analysis of the data was truly invaluable. So I just wanted to share what other people think of our team, and it's really quite impressive to see the feelings of the vendor in relative to our team. So they're presenting at an upcoming conference, and they've asked Monica Schulte to present with them about how our implementation went, because the current product we're on is many districts are looking to move to another vendor. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you, and make sure that our team gets some adequate praise for the extra effort they've put in, because they've done this while all doing their regular work.
That's some long days.
Some long days.
Some long days. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Woot, woot, woot.
Woot, 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 that's a comment, okay? Duly recorded. I think it's incredible work that they've been doing. I've had snippets along the way, and would you please provide, on behalf of the board, an appreciation to those who are instrumental in implementing the ERP?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Now we are moving on to revised board policies, which really aren't revised, but.
No, I've just, on a cycle, all of the board policies come up for review. You'll have some more that are up for review in this school year, but policy 8, 9, and 10 are the first ones that we've had a quick review of, and in the staff report it outlines that there's no recommended changes to any of these policies, and they're effective in board governance. So unless the board has some other ideas or thoughts around these particular 3 policies, they're relatively short and to the point, and just recommend that there's not really any change required.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Trustee Kandarajwan?
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I don't know if it's here to have that discussion, but with the board committees, we were going to talk about them, about what board committees that we sit on.
There is a package here that will have committee blank forms that will go to all the trustees later this evening.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, leave that. Aye, there you go. So yes, coming soon to a table in there you go. The next item I'll take, I have brought this forward. This was this is resulting and flowing from a motion that was presented at BC School Trustees Association in April and passed, and BC STA has undertaken an independent review and of this motion, which is to have non-voting student delegates at BC STA's annual general meeting. And that would mean that a student grade 12 or younger would come from our district representing all students, but this has not yet passed. This is still in the investigation stage, which was all that was really requested out of the motion. Trustee White, you were at Provincial Council this week, and I understand there was a discussion. And before we move into this piece, would you like to comment on that from BCSTA Provincial Council?
Well, my understanding, now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is the vote for students to go to AGM actually did pass last year. This time around, we were just talking about like the logistics of it.
It didn't actually pass. It was worded in such a way that it's still an investigation for it to come forward.
I mean, that's not how they. It's not how it was presented to us at the Provincial Council. But assuming you're correct, then we did discuss at the Provincial Council just kind of a bit of the pros and cons of having students there, and a lot of it came down to just Well, there's a couple of comments. One was there was an observation that this CSDA AGM, there also was an equity question of students coming from far away, and there was a question of, who would you choose to represent, and was this a good use of money? So I would say the mood at the provincial council, there was a lot of very serious questions about the wisdom of this motion and whether or not it would work the way they wanted it to, but there wasn't anything decided. So that's my report.
Thank you so much. I am trying to find the actual motion, but I'm 90%, I'll go with 90%, that it was about investigating the report. I was on a board chair's call prior to provincial council, and of which I sent everybody I sent you the report, my report, from the call, and it was presented to board chairs that way, and that we should consult with our boards about, it was sent to me, the survey. I'm sharing it with you here. Trustee Neufeld and Trustee Kandarajwan.
I mean, I understand what they're trying to do, but I think the student voice that we have now, not only in our district, but other districts, and we saw that last year at BCSTA, where a school that was kind of inner city had just a really dynamic student voice group of kids from very challenging backgrounds, not always high achieving kids, and yet I thought they presented really well. And I think this student voice, to me, seems like a better use of students, allowing us as adults and trustees to be informed about how they think about school than having one person. And how would you choose that one person, and which letter grade would they be in, and what demographic would they be? I mean, I think there's just all kinds of concerns with that.
Okay. Trustee Kandarajwan.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I'm trying to find it in my notes here, but I think it's the Vancouver School Board, because after that they, I can't remember the wording, but they had like an election, they nominated a student to be like the student voice at the Vancouver School Board office. I've been following it, but I can't find it. So I thought that was interesting that students got to be a part of the election process to bring one student forward. And I've really enjoyed the student voice that we have in Abbotsford. I've been to quite a few of them. And for me, it's been a great learning experience, because I'm finding the conversations that we're having at the board table correlate really well what the students are saying and what they're struggling with, and where they want to see the focus. Like, for instance, focus on having counselors in the school, and conversations on what they want to see happening in the school. So I really appreciate the student voice.
Thank you. Do you want to comment on our group?
Just to say that I thought we did have. Thank you. Yeah, I'll piggyback on your remarks, and thank you for that. I think we had a really good kickoff this year with our inaugural district planning team. Lots of students, and looking forward to having 3 more.
So, yep, you're welcome. And before I ask for further questions, the motion as adopted was that the BCSTA develop a process for the inclusion of non-voting student delegates at BCSTA AGM, Annual General Meetings, and that a report on progress be provided by the 2025 Annual General Meeting. So it was about process and about a report, not that it would had to happen. So that's what the motion was. Is it the same? Yeah. Hold on. Sorry, did you have a question?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, just listening to you read that, it does sound like there's it's kind of unclear perhaps, but I think most would read that and say we're developing a process to include students. So we're just defining what the process is, but the students are going to be included. That's how I interpret it, but I could be wrong.
Thank you. And you want to address
Well, I will
that,
say that
Trustee
was certainly what was communicated. The connotation was strongly that, in fact, they didn't even really let debate about whether or not students should come. It was more about the process. It was like, the connotation is students are going to be involved. It's just a matter of what the process will be like.
Yeah,
But could be wrong.
Yes, Trustee Peterson.
And of course, as with all student trips, activities, there would have to be supervision of that person as well. And it's not likely going to be a trustee, and it would have to be a teacher involved. And that creates some logistical problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Trustee Peterson. Anybody else want to add comments? So this is for me to complete. Does anybody have any burning issues with these questions or anything that you think the board should consider when I go to answer the survey? It's just me answering it. No? I mean, really, so there is a report in the Provincial Council package found in your BCSCA portal. I recommend that you read it. There were far more cons than there were pros for this. It's not highly achievable. Trustee Wright.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there'll be quite a lot of cons because like it says in this questionnaire, logistics, financial considerations, who's going to look after them, and how do you equally look at everybody? Like the 20,000, oh, not 20,000, 12,000, 1,200, 1,300 students at grade 12 level, how do you find the right one? There could be a process, maybe they can tell us what it is, but I think it'll be a difficult thing to do.
Thank you. Trustee Kandaraj one, then Trustee Rauch, unless it's, I just need only new information.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I just wanted to echo your thoughts there, Trustee Rai. Because I went to the AGM last year, and that was the conversation. If we brought students in, like, what would that look financially? Like, we're looking at accommodations, we're looking at parents, we're looking at gas, feeding the students. There's just so many other costs that could go to something else.
Thank you, Trustee Rauch. And again, just a reminder, unless it hasn't been said, we can move on.
It's new, yeah.
Okay.
Well, you asked the question, do we have any burning issues with these questions? So yeah, I was just going to reflect broadly on these questions that I think while it's well-meaning to bring students in, like it's not a, most people would say, yeah, why wouldn't we, right? But I think as we delve deeper into it, we can find some challenges with it that I'm not really a big fan. So those are my thoughts if you're trying to survey the board.
Yeah, I am trying to survey. Trustee Peterson.
Kind of echoing what you're saying, I just don't want anybody that's watching this to suggest that we're not interested in student voice. I mean, we have so many avenues in our district for listening to students, and you presented a great question. I'm not sure what student would want to come to the AGM. I mean, we're talking about a lot of things that they haven't had a lot of experience with, so I'd rather see our student leadership efforts go in a different direction.
Thank you. Trustee Kandaraj one.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one more comment to what Trustee Peterson was saying. So watching the student voice in the last 2.5 years, I can say in the first year that I was attending, the demographics seem to be the same. But on the recent that we had, you can see the demographics have changed, and it actually shows our ethnicity of our school attending the student voices. Obviously, whatever Superintendent Nozick and your team is doing, it's working because more students are coming and saying, we want to be a part of this and we want to be a leadership role. So I think if anything, we are showing an accurate population when it comes to our student voice in Abbotsford.
Thank you. I will add that this motion at BCSCA came from 2 young, brand new trustees, among the youngest in the province, and their board chair contacted me because their board had said, yes, let's do this, and have since had further discussions. The board chair asked what we do in our district, and I explained about our district planning team. And she asked for details, and I sent her that information, and she was taking it to her superintendent. She was actually going to ask her superintendent to contact our superintendent because we hear much more in this manner, and we have different mechanisms for checking in with our students. And so I will reflect that in the survey. Does that work for everyone?
Very good. Thank you.
Consensus. That's a good thing. Okay, thank you. We are now moving on to 12, which is 12.1 trustee announcements. There is a list for you. Before I go, because I do have something. Anybody else who would like to speak on anything? Trustee Kandaranchwan?
Thank you, Chair Wilson. I just wrote it down. Hold on. Yeah, I've been to a couple events since our last meeting. One was the Truth and Reconciliation. You mentioned about Liam and the patch, and I was there. And I can't explain to you how heartwarming it was just to watch that experience where the police officers took off the patch and put on the new one. Like, and I was standing beside the mom, and she was teary-eyed, and I was teary-eyed. It was just so great. It was just a really great way to connect with community. The other event I went to was Vibrant Communities that happened a couple of weeks ago. Many professionals in Abbotsford were invited to just talk about what's happening in the city and like-minded people about how to create growth and opportunity in Abbotsford. It was a really great event. And then the last one was Diwali happened last week, and many people in our community celebrated on different days. So I just want to say happy Diwali and Bandi Char Divas to people out there. And I went to Clearbrook Elementary as a liaison, and we talked about innovation earlier today, and just what they're doing in their school is that Clearbrook Elementary, there's about 95% students that are Indo-Canadian. It's a French immersion school. They had students performing from their school, from Howell Middle, and from Mowat Secondary, and that's what it's all about, is how to connect those feeder students together. And everybody had a samosa. I can't get over that, because I think that was a great way to create connection to that community, and the parents came. Everybody was dressed up, and they really enjoyed it. And for me, when I was a kid, only boys could play the dole. A dole is like a huge drum. And now in the last couple of years, to see female students play the dole is huge, because we're creating shift, and that's what happened today too, what's happening at Ricanson, that we're creating a shift in our community for females to try other things as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kandaraj. Anyone else? I'm going to add, before we go to question period, I'm just going to add that today I went to the Leaders Luncheon. It's on here. It was actually today at noon with the Abbotsford Chamber of Commerce and with the Abbotsford Community Foundation. I don't have any hard copies for anybody here. It will be online tomorrow, I think. I am going to leave this with the superintendent. There are references to the conversation. There was a panel after the presentation of this data. This is all very relevant to our district. And there was a panel, and they talked about food security and crime in our community and safety. But what was interesting is that within this little magazine, which will be online for you tomorrow, I think, is it does actually provide a snapshot of communities supporting food security. And out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mentioned, 7 feed students in our district. And I thought that that was just something really important for us to stress, that while we do have other programs that go on in the district, including Feeding Futures, is that our community continues without question to support feeding our students and their families. And I thought that that was really important. So I will gift this to the superintendent, who can share it as he needs. And then now I will go to question period. No. Nothing. Okay, we have no questions. So, and nobody here to ask questions. So it must be election night and a hockey night. So with that, let's call this adjourned. Thank you.